It's been a long day here at the 1U,
Beauty World Cyber Cafe. Yeah.
completing each other's sentence, and that's the synergy you get if you come here with a duo partner
Yes.
and you play with a friend. Bring them down to this place. There are two branches,
Yes, they do.
one at Beauty World and the other at Bugis Plus.
Yes. I actually think the peripherals here are pretty good. The screen and the mechanical keyboards are pretty solid. We play a couple of games here. I quite enjoy it. 10-10.
And they're organizing this tournament. It leads into the land shop chain all the way back into China. This is the road to China, in which the international teams will square off against one another, and then there will be one international representative who will be playing there in the tournament itself. So here we are playing the finals of the Singaporean qualifier. It will be between a Singaporean team, Resurgence, up against Geek Fam from Malaysia.
Yeah, this is like the age-old rivalry, right? Singapore versus Malaysia, and this is an open tournament. All of these teams qualified through yesterday's qualifiers. They made it to today, and now they're playing for the chance to be the regional representative of Singapore or Malaysia to play against Australia next week on the 26th of May. If they do win, of course, they will be playing against either Canada or America. And since this is an open tournament, we have big names coming from the other sides. We have the huge teams from America as well as Australia. Of course, the dates might clash with their regional cups, but we're very surprised or at least very excited to see how everything pans out.
No Morgana band, but they pick up the Rakan for themselves. This is very interesting from side of Resurgence.
Maybe, Jensen, could this be a meme AP Rakan mid lane? How do you feel?
I don't think it's a Resurgence. They have put a very strong performance so far.
Nice.
They're in it to win it, definitely.
Okay.
So I don't think we'll be seeing any like meme picks from them. This could be paired together with Kaisa if Sierra does play the champion.
Okay, so Kaisa and Rakan actually is something you feel quite strongly about. Really strong when it comes to not just ensuring the safety of the Kaisa and lane, but also moving to the later stages of the game, guaranteeing that you can buy space for it to auto attack.
So Ezreal, there's a champion that can dodge out of the grand entrance from Rakan, and Alistar, a champion that can get the counter all in down onto the opponent AD carry. They set up for a very good answer to what Rakan brings to the table so far. But still, the teamfight utility of Rakan is something is not to be scoffed at. And they're going to be following that up with a Trundle as well. Very controlling jungle style. That's how Kralix plays. He used to play a lot of mages in the mid lane, now translating that over to the jungle as well. We see a lot of intelligent putting from him, and opening up the Xayah means that they get access to the Xayah-Rakan combination.
And do you think that, we're talking about the success of Resurgence as a team, as Kralix, the main member of their work, he does a lot of the smart pathing, gets the lanes that are required to get ahead. How do you figure this Trundle is going to play into the grand scheme of things now that they have shown Xayah Rakan?
I mean, when we watched the 2018 spring finals between SVR and Rsg, we saw them play a different jungler for the first two games, and then they subbed in Kralix in for game 3. And they swapped away from playing aggressive junglers into tanks with the likes of Sejuani. So going for champions that can just cover the map, things like Graves, things like Scar, things like Trundle, very, very comfortable in Kralix's wheelhouse and idea of how he wants to play the game. Control the team fights, be the shot caller, make the big decisions, and allocate the resources around the map.
Meanwhile, Graves banned away from Henson Desmond, but a previous game he picked up the Kha'Zix and looked pretty good on it, so I wouldn't put it past him to go for the aggressive pickup once more, going into that Kha'Zix versus Trundle matchup again in this best of 3. But Malphite being banned away from Revive, and that was his pick against Sovereign for both games.
I'm very surprised that Resurgence would choose to ban the Olaf out here, because the Trundle is a good matchup into the Olaf, and so far Olaf is good into immobile champions. So you've already picked up the Xayah Rakan for yourselves, and you ban out the Olaf when you have the Trundle. Now that's something that doesn't really add up for me. So what it could be hinting to is that they have a counterpick prepared in the mid lane for the Rise that doesn't want to see the Olaf.
Right, and the Kha'Zix banned out, I was just talking about Desmond's 2 picks so far, the Kha'Zix and Graves. They will have to show their hand here nonetheless, because could be the Sejuani Jensen. Right, it will be the Sejuani locked in for Desmond here. They're leaving the last pick to the top lane for them to counterpick something that they're comfortable with, but Sejuani taken a lot of nerfs in the past couple of patches. Now it's going to be 8.10 that we're playing on.
Someone's been watching the MSI finals. I mean, I'm not sure if this is too much of a spoiler, but they did run the Sejuani in the jungle position together with a carry on the top side of the map, and I have to feel that this could be a similar setup. It makes sense with the rest of the draft as well. Ryze has got strong side lane enabling ability, and as well as that safe bot lane.
Yeah, and this is Shen now being picked up by Revive, and so far today in what 8 or 9 matches we haven't seen a single Shen, right? So that's gonna factor into how Resurgence want to stamp their authority on this game.
Yasuo, please. This is the Yasuo. Yasuo is really good here.
No, might be just the Cassiopeia, and I think that's why they banned out the Olaf, because Cassiopeia traditionally you want to use the Petrifying Gaze to stop them from advancing onto you. When you use that Ragnarok on Olaf, it actually allows him to just run straight at Cassiopeia and kill her.
So here's the thing. I dislike Shen when he's used as a defensive pick. I mean, he's durable sometimes, but we're going to do it against very specific compositions. This is a team that's going to be split pushing against you. They're going to be playing defensively. That's the Rise, that's the Astra. They're going to poke at you from afar. You pick the Cassiopeia over here. Shen Cassiopeia is a very strong defensive setup, but you don't need to be defending against what GeekFam is setting up. They're going to be going for the split push. You need to be one who's proactive. You went for the Shen, you want to pad it with something with the likes of a Caston, you want to pad it with the likes of a Vladimir, you want to pad it with the likes of something that can go in deep on the opponent's backline, the Aurelia in the mid lane, but that has been banned out by themselves. So, I'm not really rocking the Resurgence draft, but I have to feel that they have shown the ability to find leads and lanes, and they're just the better team across the board in terms of technical execution. This is by no means a lost draft because they still have the Rakan as the engage 2 together with the Shen. That's a pretty decent engage 2. It's just that I would prefer an additional option in the mid lane to go along with that in the form of the Vladimir, although the matchup against the Rice isn't the best. In fact, I would actually think Yasuo that would have been the best choice, given that you have the Trundle set up for that.
Yeah, and Yasuo really works against that Rise in the mid lane to just prevent him from getting the wave clear off with his spell flux, because you can you can wind wall that all the way and then go for a very early all in. Yasuo players normally they take the fleet footwork, if not the Conqueror rune, and that's something they could have done very well against who's mid lane Rise.
And definitely the Trundle setup, Rise as a mobile champion, you get the pillar behind you, you get knocked up, and that's immediately into the last breath from the Yasuo. So, but that's not in the picture because they went for the Cassiopeia at the end of the day. I think they probably saw a little bit of what happened in the previous game, and they said, okay, we want something that has got a better ability to control the team fight. Yasuo, he's good at fighting the side lanes, he's good at taking the skirmishes, but maybe RSG, they're a slow and steady team. They're a slow and steady team. So go for the Cassiopeia, go for the mage that can control the team fight, hit them with the big ultimate.
Yeah, it's reasonable also that they were afraid that Yasuo might get stalled up too much with the Alistar as well as the Sejuani on the other side. So, of course, Cassiopeia seems like a safer pick against this Rise. Definitely a 60-40 matchup towards Cassiopeia.
Actually, it's more of a 50-50, but once you factor into junglers and the fact that you have to Trundle, it favors the Cassiopeia quite a fair bit. And Zyrakan, the ball lane against Astra Alistar, this is going to be a farm lane. If Zyrakan were to play aggressively into Astra Alistar, I would feel that is a mistake. Either that or Astra and Alistar already made a trading mistake, and the Zyrakan are able to punish that. On the top side of the map, this is a Fiora versus Shen. I think the Shen is going to be struggling a little bit, but we have to see how Resurgence deal with that. The Fiora pick effectively puts them on the clock, but I do think that they have the tools to kind of break the game open.
Yeah, this was the team, of course, that took down Sovereign in the previous lower bracket to earn themselves a spot in the finals.
And the means of attack, so just to wrap this up for my analysis, Resurgence, they want to be attacking this through mid and jungle, or through the lane swap tactics that they've always been so fond of using by swapping the Zyrakan up the tops of the map and ganking the Fiora, which does not have effective wave clear.
Okay, so try to look at GeekFam as a team that is, relatively new. I think that defeating Sovereign was a good way for them to show that they're capable in this open tournament. But Resurgence definitely...
It is expected. GeekFam is a full-time team.
Exactly.
They are a full-time team. And when they're playing against an amateur team like Sovereign, it's only expected that they get to win. This is a team that flew down, invested resources to fly down from Malaysia. They mean business when it comes to this. They lost 0-2 to Resurgence yesterday night, and dropped down to the loser bracket because of that. Now they're here. This is a revenge match. Right. There's no resetting of the brackets. The winner of this goes through.
Yeah, fair enough. With a couple of seconds more on the spectator delay, we should be hopping into game very soon. This is, of course, game 1 in the best of 3 between Team Resurgence from Singapore and Team GeekFam from Malaysia.
So here we are on to the Rift. This is the finals. This is for all the marbles. This first game of the series. It's a best of 3 that we are playing. And on the red side, going for a split push 1-2-1 composition, we are going to be having Geek Fam.
Yeah, meanwhile, on the blue side, Resurgence opting for a bit more team fight oriented style will be the Singaporean home team. Oh, ball's coming in.
Technical issues. This is a familiar sight for those of you who... Okay. Who are followers of the local scene. In fact, technical issues is a common thing in esports. I mean, compared to real sports, you have much less technical difficulties. But I mean, I would take technical difficulties over real life injuries any day.
We are getting word that it just is a player adjusting his volume and voice comms, so shouldn't be too much of a delay. Hopefully we jump back into game really soon. As it stands, we can see Geek Fam sort of grouping up as 5 in the bottom side of the map, so with the priority, you know, they have the Sejuani as well as the Alistair. They might be looking for an early invade here.
The level 1s from Geek Fam, I have to say they've been a bit hit and miss. Sometimes they say, okay, this is brilliant, and other times I've been saying that this gets a thumbs down for me from the way that they aren't setting up to their win conditions. Now let me just readjust the corrected posture. So joining the jungle position, Rice in the mid lane. Okay, there we go. And I think this game is all about pressuring the top side of the map. So they want to be setting up for Sejuani to help the top side, but you have a losing jungle matchup. So we need to see some creative jungle parting from the Sejuani to avoid the trundle and help mitigate the matchup for the Rice against the Cassiopeia in the mid lane.
Taking a bit longer than expected, unfortunately. Hoping everything jumps back to live real soon.
We're gonna take a short break as well, and then we'll be back when the action starts.
Yeah.
And we're back.
Right, so that was a relatively that was a pause longer than we expected, but hopefully we get everything going real soon. Oh man, I smell some top grade cheese here, Jensen.
Well, to see what they do on the setup for you. Usually you see this kind of setup in the brush when you're looking for the early lane push, when you're playing the likes of a mage support. It looks like they're just going to be walking around. They might find Ciela over here. Is he going to be caught snoozing? Not going to try for it.
Ciela gonna back off, and that's no advantage being taken by either team thus far. But what that does say though is that Rsg are allowed to go into the jungle and have free reign here, knowing that all 5 members of Geek Fam are on the bottom side of the map.
And as Rsg's turn to camp with this brush over here, so it is going to be a vertical jungling setup that we see, and this is going to be relieving a lot of pressure for Shin against the Fiora, and it's going to be delaying things for Rsg, and it's going to be opening up, in fact, I think some very good options for the side of Rsg to simply move over and pressure the mid lane as well.
Yeah, but the question here is whether Geek Fam know that their red buff has been taken away, or will they find out too late?
Potential level 1 cheese in the bot lane.
Potential level 1 cheese in a bot lane here, as we can see 2 members being knocked out. Oh, a great grand entrance onto 2 members. Can they find anything else though? Ignite very early on onto the Ezreal. One more attack finishes him off, and that's a first blood. The reverse cheese coming in from the members of Resurgence.
The bot lane of Resurgence has been delivered. Across the qualifiers, they have been able to find solo kills 2v2 through these creative setups. They blow a flash, they blow ignite, And this is going to be 2 summoner spells or 2 summoner spells. And not too big of a loss for the Astro because he has the teleport. But now they know that Astro has got nothing available. If he doesn't have the E available, the next time the Rakan is able to find the W, this Astro might be in trouble.
Yeah, and what they're doing now is really smart, right? They're slowly setting the wave up for it to crash in at level 2 when they can pressure the Ezreal out with the Blade Caller. He can't really step up to CS. You can see the threat coming in from Resurgence's bot lane. Very smart here from the Singaporean bot lane.
Now Kra, once again, he has been the big roster acquisition on the side of RSG, changing it on for Kralix. There was a smaller one that happened in between spring and summer, but now we have Kra in the bottom lane as well, replacing Ares, and he's bringing a level of mechanical tenacity that we aren't seeing. He's landing hook after hook. He's making Morgana binding look like a targeted skill. Yeah. So it's really been impressive to see him play and perform on the Resurgence team.
And some Desmond here is going to go over to his red buff and find that it has been taken away, so this is potentially a 3 buff for Kralix, considering that Desmond now is on the top side, can't journey down to the enemy red buff at all, and RSG looking good on all fronts.
I mean, the Fiora getting a substantial CS lead against the Shen over here, shoving him on the turret. I have to say, this is where they will be feeling good about themselves. Despite the earlier vertical jungling start, the Shen still finds himself pushed in and behind in CS. He will be able to equalize it as the big wave crashes in, but he's still down almost the entire wave against the Fiora after only about 6 waves of laning.
Yeah, not to mention, this Fiora went for the Kleptomancy, so that means that she's going to be stacking up gold every time she lands a launcher, or rather her Q, right? So that gap is only just going to widen. We see a head of up pulverize coming in. Grand Entrance being used on the reverse though, but meanwhile on the bottom side, not much.
There's a trap in the top lane.
Trap in the top lane as well. In the mid lane, this is action all over the map. The flash, the heal being used by you-know-who. Can he get one more auto attack? Yes, he does with the chomp. Meanwhile on the top side, Revive survives that gank coming in as well, but this wave
still has his flash.
Still has his flash as well. This wave is going to be barreling into the turret. Will they be looking for this dive is the question. Aggro being shifted over to Desmond, and nope, it's just gonna be Revive holding his own under the turret as 2 members of Geek Fam back away from this turret.
Oh, misses the cannon minute. Oh, gets the taunt down. There's the turret hitting him.
Oh.
One more turret shot, doesn't get it, forces the flash.
Uses the
He's
riposte
gonna go
as well.
for it.
Overextends and Shiny gets the return kill. Revive out, overplaying his hand and getting taken down. It looks so good for him up to that point.
Why Revive? Your job in the top lane is to play defense. There's no reason for you to go for the flash in there. Preserving your flash has got so much more value. But I have to say, in the bottom side of the map, no flash on this Astro.
Flash Grand Entrance in and uses the Arcane Shift to kind of escape from that fight. Nevertheless, the teleport coming in. Kralix will find a kill here. And the teleport being returned. Shiny trying to get a kill onto Ciela, but his teammate is there to support him. Uses the heal as well. Repose will keep him alive for a bit. Shiny backing out of this fight. The turret aggro being juggled over to the Trundle, who will die. Shiny trying to find something, but it's now 2-1 going the way of Geek Fam. Raven arriving a bit too late. 4 for 3 now is the kill score across the board, and only 500 gold ahead is Resurgence.
So that's a very ambitious dive coming through from Resurgence. But I have to feel that despite the kills not entirely going in their favor, that is the teleport from Fiora being expanded. And then now this is going to be giving Shen a fair amount of experience on the top side of the map. And if Shen is able to convert this into experience lead over the Fiora, that will be very useful for them. If the Shen is suddenly able to get a lead on Fiora and push her out, suddenly this bully matchup that they contemplate for loses its effectiveness. And if it loses its effectiveness, then the side of Geek Fam, they don't really have effective means of attacking the map.
Very smart here, you-know-who baiting Raven forward. He has support from the Alistair. He lands the hit by Pulverize and the Ignite as well, but the cleanse being used and the flash preemptively as well. Petrifying Gaze stops you-know-who in his tracks, and the Cassiopeia gets out completely alive. That was a great play by Raven. Unbeknownst to him though, 3 members around the back, he was still able to get out there.
But that popped both summoners on his own end though, so the next roam from the Alistair will be able to find mileage for the Cassiopeia, onto the Cassiopeia for the Rise.
Supports trading damage in the river, but ultimately Geek Fam 404 is the one with the vision advantage.
Cry is getting surrounded by multiple members, forced to use the Blast Cone to hightail out of there.
With the huge CS lead as well as a kill lead compared to Desmond, Kralix looking much better this game compared to his counterpart. And we are really looking forward to Kralix being the motivator for his team to kind of get things rolling.
I mean, so that's the E to John's out of the using the Tira John to escape away from the grand entrance, and that's something we're going to be seeing consistently throughout this laning phase. Korra, whenever he sees Alistar not in position, will just go in and test them, and if he finds them lacking, the Astro is going to be in for a world of hurt.
Yeah. Let's take stock of the items now. Mid lane being tiers being completed by both mid laners. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, it is a tier for Ezreal. Nothing all too much for Desire just yet. Only a Zerker's Grease for her. She should be going for the Essence Reaver this game though, so it's gonna take a while to complete.
And the chunk out onto the Astro, just using the traits. Very good use of auto attacks without committing the grand entrance just yet. Here comes the Trundle from the back.
Yeah, Trundle from the back. Remember, there's no heal on this Ezreal, and Ciela will pick up the kill, but not before being taken down. So it's 1-for-1, and rather ambitious dive once more, Jensen. You're calling them out. Kralix has been trying to force these bot lane plays so often that it's really backfiring for our resurgence here. Ciela will go down. You know who, trying to find a kill. No, the Stand United keeping him alive for a bit more. You know who, now it's his turn to fight for survival as all members of Resurgence are getting collapsed down. This is starting to become a bit of a fiesta as Resurgence trying to escape from this fight. Nope, that's him. He's done.
Well, things suddenly going south for Resurgence. I feel that they aren't doing the right steps in securing this vision. They need to go to the mid lane first, chunk out the Rise, stop him from rotating, control the vision first before you start looking at the dive. When in a situation where you can get the Shen to TP down, your Shen is pushed in so far on the top side of the map. The Rise is kind of 50-50 to Cassiopeia. Yes, your bot side is pushing out, but you can use the Rakan to rotate him over to help the Cassiopeia and force the matchup against the Rise instead of blindly trying to dive to start it.
Yeah, so maybe diving there not the smartest idea. That being said, the goal lead switching over to the side of Geek Fam, and the Malaysians looking very comfortable with this lead thus far. The question is whether that Fiora and Rice can get to the point where it becomes a 1-3-1, right?
And from looks of it, I think that might just very well be the case, because the lead that Rsg in the bottom lane, they kind of wasted it with the dive, and now that's kind of reset the tempo. And in a mistake-laden game, when you have this killing team, you always want to be the one to be there and say, yeah, we're gonna reach our late game's power points, and then from there we'll be able to take the game.
Red buff being taken by Kralix, and he does have a equal footing in the mid lane. Oh, huge dive. Oh, that was a huge misplay coming in from 404. I don't think he meant to headbutt him over the wall, considering there were two members along with him. Seeing that the Alistar is in the mid lane, they just jump straight in onto the Ezreal, and he's gonna be dead in a second. That's what happens when you show your Alistar mid lane and you don't make it count. Kra is gonna punish you for it.
And once again, they look at this. You don't have what's the counter to teleport Astro? The fact that he doesn't have defensive summoners. When you have the potential to onto him, he is a very safe champion. But the Rakan getting the quickening immediately upon contact, there's no chance for the Astro to use the ER of that. He can only try to anticipate a flash, but he doesn't even have the flash for the scenario.
Yes.
He is doomed to fall.
Speaking of
First
flash,
break does go over to Resurgence in the entire play.
Yeah, speaking of flash, Kralix got away clean from that fight in the jungle, skirmishing with Desmond over a buff. As you mentioned, first turret going the way of Resurgence, and that is a gold bump that they're very happy with. 404 is trying his best to make things happen, this roaming Alistar, but thus far not much of an impact.
Confidence from the bottom lane, I have to feel that this is usually just a farm matchup, but I have to say definitely props to CL and Crowd. They're making it work. Just showing the gap in the bottom lane, and I have to feel that that is the consistent thing throughout all their games so far. When they played the previous round, the opponent's AD carry went 0-4, and I heard he was extremely tilted after the series. But here comes the roam from the counter top side. They're trying to go on to Shen.
It pulverized the Ignite as well. Grand Challenge being used by Fiora to get as many procs of those vitals off as possible, and he will get it. Heal being activated as well because he got the kill. So finally 404 finding some sort of impact across the map using the Ignite as well to make sure that Shen is dead.
And he will be trying to deny as much creeps as possible, but he still will be giving over quite a substantial wave over to Ciela, who collects it for himself.
AD carry swapping over to the top side, as you mentioned. Ciela wants to take this turret down, even going as far as past the river to proxy the wave before it even hits his. So very confident now, Desire.
And I have to say that this tempo of the game is definitely in the favor of Resurgence, because as the team that wants to be playing on the offensive, the team with the Shen, being able to break the outer lane turrets and then have the opportunity to start creating these deep lanes to push them in and then rotate over to the mid lane to perhaps try to find a contest on objectives. That is something that they are looking to try to do with the Shen on their team composition with the Rakan.
Yeah, the threat only comes in when they use the Shen offensively, right? Because right now, Shiny's Fiora is just gapping Revive CS and really putting so much pressure down on this Shen in the 1v1. Unless they can find something like that, right? Get a huge chunk of damage down, it's going to be really hard for Rsg to even make some sort of reactive play.
I mean, there's a fantastic route coming through, and he's just trying to go for it, but there's a Sejuani waiting in the rings.
This should be a kill. There's a huge misplay coming in from Cry. I think he tried to flash, used the quickness to land the taunt, but didn't really get anything down, so it was very easy for Olivia Baron to sort of get out of that engage.
Mistake from Kra. I mean, we praised him and he makes this make. Oh, Cassiopeia.
Cassiopeia getting the 1v1 Realm Warp being used, but can he land one more to infect? Oh, the Great Pillar to disrupt the channel coming from the Realm Warp, and that is a pseudo 1v1. A bit of assistance coming in from Kralix, but that is a good kill nonetheless. Rift Herald though will go to the red team, or excuse me rather, the Ritz, yeah.
So I'm going to be forced to use the ultimate over here. Going to pull back the Feather. So tries to. Whoa! Gets it onto the Astro.
There was a huge play here as the rest of the team comes in. Kra lending as much support as he can. The Stand United returns the tides of this fight, and this is looking really good for RSG right now. They get a return kill. It's going to go to Revive, and GeekFan404 doing his best to run away. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, the Rift Herald, as I mentioned, was spawned by Resurgence, and this is going to be mid-tier 1, I believe. And the bot side, Shiny getting some sort of return turret take, but this is a huge break here in the mid lane.
I mean, I think as a whole, in terms of understanding how to play the map and how to play the game, RSG are on a different level as compared to other teams that we've seen play today so far. Their ability to know where their strengths are and the ability to create leads in lane as well. And 404 going for the execute. Kra goes in and gets the Ignite to pick up the goal for himself.
Uses the Grand Entrance to close the gap and gets the Ignite. Oh boy.
But the impressive thing is the ability to move around the map, the ability to coordinate such cross-map plays, and I have to feel that yes, part of it is GeekFam running into them, but the awareness to know that, oh, we're not just going to run headless into them, we know how many people we need to hold off in each situation, and to make the call, okay, you've overcommitted to the top side of the map, we're even okay with losing CL over there, that we don't have to send everybody over to defend him, just drop the repair in the mid lane, 2 turrets in the mid lane down now.
Yeah. So a macro understanding of the game, very good and being displayed here by Resurgence. It really lends some credit to how they destroyed Sovereign in those 2 games, right? Both teams are resetting now, but Kra and CL are still on the top side.
Definitely, I have to say, CLS Xayah. I mean, we had a lot of praise for Kra on a lot of support champions, but this has really been about the CLS Xayah. And catching out the support over here, 4-4 going to be in a whole bunch of trouble.
Yeah, 4-4 doing his best Kazuo cosplay as he gets caught out warding, and right now this is a man advantage going the way of RSG. Not sure if they want to do anything with this. They might be looking to top tier 1. As Shen gets bullied out by Fiora. What's new?
Oh, this actually just feels so bad for Revive right now. He's just gonna get repeatedly poked out under the turret.
Yeah, that's a 2.1 thousand goal lead in favor of Shiny's Fiora. That is huge.
But here's the thing. If we talk about a race that's happening, the Xayah and Rakan, they're almost 1 lap ahead right now.
Yeah.
And they have the quickening available. They can actually try to go for it. They get a charm down.
Yeah, they can just destroy him. No, he gets a king shift just in time, and it is engaged. Now they will settle for 404 instead. If they can't get the Ezreal well, the Alistair will do as well. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Raven getting his push on. You know who can't really answer this at all. Stay United available. If they want to dive onto this Rise, they can very well do so. Raven, I think he might have heard me. Rune Prison being used by you know who. Petrifying Gaze completely whiffing. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Inhibitor goes down and whoop! That's one more auto attack. They will take him down and they get the Rise. And will they find the Sejuani as well? No, they just get an Inhibitor and the Rise and back out. Shiny trying his best to put some pressure down, to find some sort of advantage for his team, but he can't.
This is a mid lane Inhibitor down before the 17-minute mark. And this is going to mean that for the next 3 minutes, even before Baron is spawning, all GeekFam can do is effectively sit in their base and clear the super minions that will be pushing down the mid lane. RSG, they have free reign over the map for the next 3 minutes to do whatever they want. They can take turrets, they can stop the Fiora from sit pushing, they can take the dragon on the map. There's no Baron just yet, but when it spawns, they will have all the visions set up for it.
And with the dragon available, I think, you know, that's the next freebie that RSG are gonna take.
And they don't even need to use the sweepers because of the way that Geek Fam will be stuck in their base. All the wards around that they had around Baron will expire
probably
naturally,
expire, right?
other than the raid wards.
This is looking really scary. I think Ciela has been performing amazingly this game, finding multiple kills when he shouldn't, and it's just paired with Kra, right? That makes them the duo so dangerous to lane against. That Olivia Baron as well as 404 can't really answer this dual AD carry support.
We see the Zaya actually coming down to find a duel against the Fiora. I'm not sure how well advised this one is, but the Rakan is there. Here comes the backup. Where's the quickening? Is he going to be able to get the charm? The pillar does come up. There's the charm, and the riposte not going to be enough. All the crowd control going to be able to lock him down. I still have a job there doing the play-by-play. So now your turn to do the color. Break the one down for me.
Yeah, that was really smart by that Fiora to just hold everything, but ultimately too much damage coming in. He was trying to find a return kill with the Grand Challenge, but the spacing coming in as well as the snare for the Zaya was more than enough.
Now, this is the best carry top laner, and we see him get the lead. Laning wise, that's just lead coming through for him. But when we think back about how he has been able to convert this lead, he had a 3 level goal lead against Shiro against the Kuala Lumpur Hunters during the LCM playoffs itself. It was a Flame Horizons 100 CS lead, and he was not able to close. This happened in 2 of the games in the best of 5.
It sounds like as a top laner, despite getting a lead, he can't really impact the game as much as he should. And that's really a concern round coming into this game. Oh, hold on here, Raven a bit out of position in the enemy base, but the team is there to support him. You can see now Geek Fam are so hesitant to re-enter this fight. They're all backing away. No taunt just yet, and Raven is getting free space to just walk around and do whatever he wants. Ciela going for the inhibitor turret now. Looks to be going for the inhibitor next. 5 members of Resurgence still pretty healthy. Raven only at a 3/4 health. Oh my goodness, that was a horrible misplay coming from 404. He's just gonna die here, not getting the knockup that he wanted. And well, Jensen, this looks like game 1 here for Resurgence.
Not even at the 20-minute mark. We thought their series against Sovereign was dominant. This one might just end before
Last stand
the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, last stand here being thrown up.
They might just survive it. This is the tower defense. Survive the last 20
oh
seconds.
no, I said that too soon. There's a great knockup coming in. This is Ciela picking up the first kill. Will he get the second? Kra heard you over the wall, Jensen. He wants to get this kill real quick.
3 seconds. 2 seconds.
Nope, they're not gonna
1
finish
second.
this.
Time's up.
before-
Oh, does Geek Fam win this? Oh, turns out no. Nexus is gonna be going down.
Nexus going down. Game 1. Look at this goal lead. 9,000 gold in 20 minutes.
On the dot.
Resurgence finishing this game. If you're in a normal game right now, you forfeit. You wouldn't even be able to finish right now because the vote wouldn't have ended.
So this is a very strong showing from Resurgence, and I have to say that the bot lane really stepping up. Once upon a time, you look all the way back. You look all the way back at the origins of this team. The bot lane was always a weak link. They fixed that. Ciela has greatly improved as a player. They brought in Kra, very strong mechanical support that's able to make this huge base in lane, and they're now crushing. They're absolutely at the top of the Singaporean scene. Come the other tournaments that will be happening later, I have to feel that teams will feel that Resurgence is the team to beat. Who cares about Sovereign? Who cares about Impunity? This is the one team everybody's going to have their eyes on.
With those shuffles, Resurgence looks scary now. Their roster completely stacked. Take a look at the amount of damage done by Ciela and Kra. I mean, at this point, Kra has done more damage than the jungler. That is scary to me. But guys, for now, we're going to go for a short break. When we come back, though, it will be game 2 of Resurgence going up against Geek Fam. The Malaysians going to try their best to put up a fight and stay competitive in this best of 3.